Life, they're going up against one of the play-ins favorites here.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to make it upset, if Hanwha Life can get their play-ins tournament back on track. We are jumping straight into picks and bans. Cody should not getting LeBlanc pretty much the entirety of the play-in stage. He's going to be banned against them constantly, as we do see the Aurelia banned away from Morgan and Chovy, and of course the Lucian, which we saw in Game 1.
Yeah, Lucian incredibly strong for White Lotus, and we're starting to see that adaptation, right? It was the LeBlanc, Zoe, Xin Zhao banned away the last time. It's LeBlanc, now the Lucian. We'll see if Zoe or the Xin Zhao get banned away. One of the big things for the Zoe ban kind of indicates that you want to play Ryze. Cody loves playing this Zoe into the Ryze, trying to keep him lane, have decent wave clear against it. So maybe Hanwha want to try and go that and look for the Ryze for Chovy. But I mean, you're already looking at Infinity banning away Aurelia and Tryndamere, two of the big picks that we saw Hanwha get success in the early stages in their game against LNG.
Yeah, and Infinity are going to have to find out something new for the jungle as well. Solid Snake's Jarvan gets banned away, and now Infinity have themselves one last ban before we go into the first power picks of this draft. And honestly, they could keep going into Chovy, but the man has a champion Ocean. He can play pretty much anything. If we include today's first game, he has 22 unique champions between Nazar, Summer, and now.
Yeah, it's kind of insane how much Chovy has played. We're going to get the Camille ban, though, away from Morgan. This has been kind of the one or two big picks that we saw Hanwha Live 10 towards, was like the Camille Renekton for Morgan, with Renekton taken off the board. Camille's gone now as well. So it will be the Lee Sin locked in here, more than likely going towards Willer in the jungle, but we still could see that flexibility in towards the lanes.
Yep, absolutely could be flexed into either top or mid if they see the matchup fitting for it. And now Infinity, you've got an opportunity here to see what you want to go for. Still plenty on the board, still plenty of options to go for, but it's about what you want to prioritize.
Yeah, and that's where my kind of curiosity comes in here, right? Because we obviously got the big power picks in the jungle, like the Kiana has seen a lot of play. We got a little bit of the Zed, but there's still a huge amount of those picks that you can go towards. But I mean, pretty bog standard here, at least from what we're starting to see, is that Misfortune coming in on the red side, and it's going to be paired once more with this Amumu.
Can't forget the Curse of the Stab Bullet Time potentially coming out again and again. We saw it from Peace in the last game. It is incredibly powerful when you find those opportunities. But I gotta say, if two people are going to be able to get out of those, it's got to be the Ezreal and the Lee Sin. They are so good at just jumping themselves away from danger.
Yeah, and gives you the opportunity to try and play away from that with this Ezreal pick, right? Deft can stay in the bot lane, Vista look for the roams, try and unlock Chovy, try and see if they can make some plays happen in those early stages. Otherwise, Infinity can try and play through this strong bot side. So I think definitely trying to play away from the bottom lane will be the game plan here for Hanwha. As Infinity, they've just locked in the Xin Zhao. Strong early game jungler once more for Solid Snake, and this is where Infinity find comfort, right? Solid Snake trying to interact with the lanes early and set themselves up for success. Another strong jungler as well for those team fights. So maybe we just all in with like Bugax taking something like the Nara in the top lane and look to just take, hey, we can have decent push top, but also be a menace in team fights.
Yeah, I think the big thing I want to see from Solid Snake this time is to have the rest of his team with him. The last time around we saw him against the Red Canids is that it was just Solid Snake kind of on his own on the backside. He was like, I got in, where's everybody else? So what can the side of Infinity add into this composition to really help out their jungler? But the Orianna locked away, the Gnar being taken off by Hanwha Life as well. So definitely focusing a little bit more on those subtle lanes from both sides.
Yeah, and I'm convinced here that Infinity are going to try and keep the counter pick for Cody in this mid lane. One of the big things that we've seen from Infinity is not giving a huge amount of resources to Cody. He's been very self-sufficient, but you're up against Chovy. Chovy is so damn good in lane, and he's going to need some help if he's going to try and have any sort of impact on the map. So looks like we will see them try and keep that counter pick for Cody, try and help him out a little bit in that regard, but at least see what Chovy's going to have in store before they lock anything in.
And they are just hovering right now. We'll see exactly where they want to go with this last pick. They got a couple more seconds to go, but it looks like it is going to be the top side that they lock in before anything. But no, they're going to go straight for the Zoe, like you mentioned, something that Cody's very comfortable in.
Yeah, one of his most played. He loves this pick. Crazy strong in it, and just an easy one, right? You're like, right, it's not going to fall into too many issues in this mid lane, just decent clear, keep it nice and simple, and then look to have that big impact when you're able to play off the terrain around these objectives. And looks like we're just going to match push with push, so Chovy might go back towards the Azir here. He's played this a lot in the LCK, and if that's the case, I mean, Azir mid, Ezreal bot, we're looking at a little bit of a slow, I'm going to say, early game.
A slower tempo in the early game coming out from Hanwha. But again, we talked about it last time in the game against LNG as well, is that this is their comfort zone. This is what they enjoy doing. This is how they find themselves getting those wins that they need. It's all about the slow choke out, you know, suffocate your opponents and make sure that you're the ones coming out with the advantages.
And I honestly, maybe Morgan goes back to, well, we'll go back towards the Renekton. So as you highlighted, right, one of the two big picks that we've seen Morgan go towards in LCK, especially in playoffs, was the Camille and was the Renekton. Now, Renekton falling out of favor with all the changes to his stun, right? Not giving as much time, making it a lot more difficult for a jungler to try and play around the Renekton, and also just the way his combo functions a little bit easier to deal with if you're the opposition. So we'll have to see how Morgan will be able to perform on this Renekton, but very, very standard Homo Life draft here.
Yeah, honestly, I've never seen it so LCK, but locked and loaded is the Graves. That could be a Graves top or is out top, either one.
We've actually seen the Graves a lot more in the top lane. It started mid and then people are like, let's just go for a top side. And when you are able to go towards the Yomus, the Eclipse, you become obnoxious to deal with in that top side. Really difficult for the Renekton to actually deal with as well, because you can take like phase rush, you can start to move around in that top lane matchup. It's very difficult to keep up as a Renekton, and just hard to get the push. It's just constant shove, start to chip away at the turret, and Bugax will have to see how he does bringing out this Graves on the top side.
Yeah, first time we're seeing it on the world stage in 2021, and this is going to be a big test right now for Infinity. I also feel like Homo Life, you can't just sit on your laurels. If that Graves gets ahead, if that Zoe's able to find those trouble bubbles and get those picks off, this could become a bit of a shaky game for you.
Yeah, but once more, it is about like, hey, heavy burst. If you don't get these big Amumu ults off on key targets, the game plan kind of goes out the window. You've got a lot to fight back with as Homo Life. So definitely Infinity Esports going to be looking to try and get control of this game early and see if they can find these fights at like the Rift Heralds, early Dragons. Do anything you can to force Homo Life into fights early.
But of course, the longer this game goes on, the more we tend to lean towards the LCK 4th seed, the Azir, the Ezreal, hell, even the Lee Sin to an extent. Just being able to set up so nicely is going to be such a pain for Infinity to try and deal with if they let it to just slide off into the distance.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things here. I feel like there's going to be a hell of a lot of attention on top side, right? You've got the Lee Sin Renekton set up. Let's see if we can try and play through that. But on the opposite side, you want to try and keep this Grave safe. So certainly for Infinity Esports, solid sake, I want to see some time up here getting Bugax into a decent spot, and then you can always look to use White Lotus and Ackerman, who should just be able to pick up their own advantages through the strength of this bot lane at those team fights.
We are on to the Rift, 4th game of the day here in Group A. So we start to see who is going to be establishing themselves towards the top and who's starting to sweat near the bottom, because these games will start to rack up very, very quickly. You only get 4. It's not exactly an easy win. You have to pick up wins when you can.
And this for Homo would definitely be one of the games that they would want to pick up right after dropping to LNG in what was a very, very close game. They're probably going to be coming out a little bit angry. So we'll have to see what they're able to do. Chovy, though, taking very aggressive rune choice coming in towards the mid lane, going towards that summon area. Definitely going to be looking to try and have control of this mid lane and see if he can be that factor that he was in those regional finals. Move around the map, have some sort of plays on this Azir.
See if he's able to make it happen. Of course, the Surima Shuffle, if you will, or Shuffle even, if you will, and the Emperor's Divide, very powerful tools just setting up the rest of your team. You can push them all into a Morgan, Renekton. You will be feeling very, very happy with yourself as Bugax trying to be a bug to the side of Hanwha Life as he's not quite able to get himself up the ramp. Morgan playing fairly decent bodyguard, and they're going to be able to back themselves away. So both junglers going to start on the top side and most likely pathing towards the bottom.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see because I feel like for Solid Snake, you want to try and play down, obviously, around White Lotus and Ackerman in these early stages. You should have Cody with push in the mid lane as well. But for Willer, I actually assumed he would start bot and start to path up top side towards Morgan. But in fact, going to actually follow the pathing of Solid Snake down, and we'll have to see if he can actually contest one of these scuttles.
See if he wants to go for it, Hanwha Life. And a decent early game in terms of objectives against LNG. We're able to pick up the first Dragon, first Rift Herald as well. So they know how to move around the map pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. I'll be curious to see now exactly where these two junglers end up being. But for Infinity, they need to try and, as I say, put a stop to the gears in motion. Yeah,
well, Bugax, at least from the get-go, is doing a really good job here, right? You spotted, hey, we had a ward on the red buff. No Lee Sin for Homo Life. Cool. Bugax is going to crash second wave, get a little bit of chip damage, try and deny Morgan some of the CS. Then with the bounce back, shove in again on the fourth wave, make sure that he's continuously keeping up the pressure here and preventing Morgan from trading aggressively. Now, Solid Snake, though, showing in mid against Chovy.
Yep, showing in mid. You see Chovy putting down the Sand Soldier so he can just shift himself all the way back. Looks like it's going to be a quick move here from Solid Snake, just saying, look, I'm here. You can't get anything off of Cody underneath the tower. But Morgan, I feel like he can go for this trade. It's a bit dangerous to go for that one. The Graves, once he gets a little bit of distance between you, will just keep peppering you down.
Yeah, and one of the things that we saw a lot was like Renekton kind of going, right, hey, I can just trade effectively. I'm always going to have control on this top side. But as we start to see the shift in the meta and things like this, Graves top have come out, you're not kind of kingpin anymore in that top lane for Renekton. So Morgan will have to make sure that he's trying to keep even here against Bugax and not over-aggressing and having Bugax win out in these trades.
See Def recognizing he's no real danger with his jungler off to the side as Bugax, again, just going to try and trade this one out. Will not get the end of the line, second proc, but both these top laners down to about 200 HP, and it's getting a little dicey.
Yeah, at least for Morgan, he's got the heal, right? You can, there you go, use the Cold of the Week. You end up getting a good amount of health back, but not the same for Bugax. He's got the free footwork, so he'll have to reset and come back, which gives Morgan a little bit of a shove out. So nice trading by Morgan, which actually gives a little bit of attention here for Willer, who can maybe get this top scuttle.
CR seeing the TP going in, like you said, Bugax having to use that one there. Morgan getting some late vision down before he does get his reset in. Should be fine to the TP to the lane if he's feeling like he's under any pressure. But again, good little movements here. And actually, Lee Sin just moving up towards that top scuttle just now. So eventually we'll get the equal trade as we see the TP being burnt by Morgan. And that's going to be enough to kind of just secure the top side of the map here for Hanwha.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the game plan is here, because you have Willer top side. I was looking at Chovy getting the reset. He has the TP advantage, right? Cody hasn't got access to that teleport now, so always an option for Hanwha to try and use the push that Chovy has made, try and make a play top towards Morgan, but looks like with Solid Snake having reset and coming back onto the map himself, Hanwha don't want to go over-aggressive on this top lane just yet.
Vista going to see two lads recalling, going to let one of them go as he stops the recall of Ackerman on this Amumu, and again, just trying to be a nuisance, try and keep them along in this lane, because you went Def went tier of the Ezreal, so it's actually a lot better for him to stay as long as possible with his little items as they can.
Yeah, and I mean, they're doing a really phenomenal job here as Hanwha. Again, like Morgan, before he reset, got that ward up at the Krugs for Solid Snake, so spotted out where the jungler is, so you can always see Hanwha playing off of like the information that they have available. Def shoves in bot with Vista, the second they get vision top, cool, we know we're safe, let's move off of that. But the big thing that I want to see here is like, how is Willer gonna like desync himself from Solid Snake? Because right now they're just like holding hands the whole way through the jungle, skipping along beside each other, but that's not what you want. As this Lee Sin, you want to find that opportunity where Solid Snake is bot, and then you can try and make this big play top. It's how they're actually moving Vista up right now, as they might try to make something happen.
Oh, be careful, Cody. You are level 6 right now, but Willer is just hovering to the side. Will be able to stop this recall as well, unless he's in shot. But he's going to be able to get himself out, no problem at all. And even with a jungler around, I don't feel like Infinity want to take that 2v2.
Yeah, but they don't have vision of where Hanwha life right now. They will with Willer showing, but you can see Bugax, he had to back all the way off that turret because he was worried about that dive on the top side with the wave crashing. So Morgan doing a really good job of punishing this now, as Bugax will get some of the wave, but level advantage and a plate already going to Morgan.
Solid Snake sneaking his way now into this bot side. Will be spotted immediately though by that ward. As soon as he walks up to it, it's pretty much confirmed. Unless he's actually snuck around the corner, so they didn't actually see him. Interesting. I thought that would have had enough vision, but no, they do not know. And Solid Snake is there, but they're going to have a pretty decent guess now with the bot lane gone missing. Yeah,
especially with White Lotus, might have just pipped onto that ward. So you can see here Hanwha well aware of this. Now, I don't think you need to over-aggress towards this. Just give it, like, it's one dragon, but Willer wants to see if he can steal it.
Chovy hasn't got the push right now, so it's going to be a 4v3. So Cody putting himself in a position. White Lotus not quite got the bullet time just yet. They're going to jump straight in onto Willer. TP going to be committed. That's Chovy getting himself on the other side of this fight. Def going aggressive as they look to try and secure this dragon. Solid Snake flashing away, but he falls to the ignite. First blood going up to Hanwha. They trade 1-for-1. Flash. Ackerman in a little bit of trouble. They don't land the paddle star, and Cody not going to be able to trade it back. 2 kills for a dragon. Definitely feeling like it's more Hanwha life favored.
Yeah, the TPs from Chovy to the bot side meant that you could actually group up as Hanwha and look for these plays, and nicely done. Picking off Solid Snake, not able to find any opening here as Infinity without that level 6 available, so Hanwha punishing.
Cody in a lot of trouble right now. He is losing a lot of his health bar, not even hitting anything. The fancy feat of Chovy just knowing exactly where he needs to stand, and that's just a great trade there for the Hanwha life mid laner as Bugax. He's just getting punished right now. He's just getting pushed back. He cannot take this 1v1.
Yeah, but you can see, right, why Chovy is so difficult to play against in this mid lane. He's at 10 CS lead at 15 as Def takes a good chunk of his health bar. In more than half his games. Like a 10 CS lead at 15 is absolutely absolutely insane. He's the highest average CS across the board. If you look at any point in the game, and averages like 450 gold difference of 15 just himself. It's insane what he can do.
And look at Solid Snake in this replay as well. He just takes so much damage. Him and Ackerman, the two people who died, were half health before it began.
Yeah, and you can see Def trying his best here, right? He's right up in the face of Infinity, getting so much damage out. And it's just unfortunate. They stick around that bit too long. They tried to commit to the play, but Cody not really getting much damage off. Same when you look towards White Lotus. The level 6 from Infinity is where they've really come online, but trying to fight level 4 on your Mumu, not going to have the same impact.
Need that bullet time, you need that Curse of the Sad Money, you need that lockdown available to you so you can get the poke down with Cody, so you can just move, affirm yourself as the AD carry, and White Lotus get himself into a much better position. So now, yes, you get the dragon, but you do lose a gold lead, about 2,500, just a little bit under, as you see Bugax just getting punished every single time. Morgan get a slice and dice into him, he takes about half his health bar.
Yeah, and this is just Morgan being able to play off the advantages that we talked about earlier for Hanwha, right? Getting that vision control, playing in the dark, making sure that Bugax couldn't be safe underneath this tower. And Hanwha, even though you don't get the actual commitment topside, just them hovering was enough for Morgan to get this lead. And now Hanwha, again, like a 2,000 gold lead at the 9-minute mark, and we're not seeing much from Infinity. They want to try and look for these fights at the Rift Herald, but still level 5 at White Lotus, still level 5 on Ackerman, which is why Willer has been able to take that objective without Infinity being able to put up a response.
Again, solo lanes going very well for Hanwha Life. They got themselves a 10 CS lead pretty much across the board in terms of those lanes. Chovy trading very effectively into Cody, and this slow type of game is totally fine for the side of Hanwha Life. We talked about it. The longer the game goes on, the more items you get onto this Ezreal and Azir, the harder it becomes to set up your wombo for Infinity. Infinity need to be the ones making the aggressive moves. They need to be the ones looking for some kind of an advantage, because they're just going to slowly lose the game then.
Yeah, and their biggest hope for that is the dragons, right? You've already got one. Whatever about the fight going a bit skew-ways, at least you've got one dragon. So if you can start to power through these, like pick up the next one in 2 minutes, you can very quickly get a soul onto the map where Hanwha need to fight you. And if you set up correctly, as we talked about, so much burst damage on Infinity could find pretty much anyone on Hanwha Life's health bar gone completely askew. So maybe Infinity can start to play through that, but Willard again, good job getting vision and just keeping pressure on Solid Snake.
Solid Snake not quite able to keep his own jungle safe, and we will see about a 3 or 4 3 camp lead going now in favor of Willer, as Chovy for Hanwha Life could push in. And again, a 500 gold lead here for Chovy. You're looking at the junglers, but 700. You're looking at top laners, but 400. 500 on the bot side. It's not massively significant, but it's enough to just make you question. They're going to get the mythics first. They're going to get their self set up and get more wards on the map. It's those little small moments that just make Hanwha Life so scary for a team like Infinity, where they are fine to just keep those small advantages and make them into bigger ones later.
Yeah, it's also just the efficiency we've seen from Willer, right? He's been able to continuously farm, have some pressure, but he's never had to fully commit to a play apart from like fighting at that dragon, right? So he's just been farming the whole time, where Solid Snake's been hovering, trying to support his team. It means that he is behind when it comes to CS. Willer, again, you can see forcing him back, and if Solid Snake's not able to have impact in these lanes, it becomes really difficult for Infinity to find these advantages. Even now, you can see pushing mid for Chovy, fantastic. They hover down towards bot side, Infinity have to dip away from this turret.
Well, Vista is going to back away from the trouble bubble, knows that he does not have to get caught in that, and otherwise it could lead to Infinity getting something, as Hanwha Life do get the Gore Drinker finished up onto Willer, and that's going to be a big power point right now. You want that Gore Drinker for your Xin Zhao to be able to trade effectively, because we see how powerful it is, how much health you can get back off of it when you're in those big 5v5 team fights. Yeah,
I think right now, though, Hanwha are going to full commit to this bot side. Rift Herald about to time out, Chovy having shoved in mid, and I love that they're doing this. This is going to basically net them the spot lane turret with no sort of response from Infinity, and this is what we haven't seen a huge amount from Hanwha, is basically like using this Renekton in the top side to just be its own thing, cause a bunch of ruckus. They've oftentimes tried to play towards Morgan and get a bunch of farm, bunch of resources put into this Renekton. Instead, they're just like, cool, Renekton's winning anyway, let's just invest in depth on the bottom side and make sure we're winning across the board.
Bugax is so low right now. You might pop the dominance. Yep, there it is. Kind of get himself behind the turret, though. Morgan in a little bit of trouble. Will get the Q off. Flashes away. Still dies. It's a 1-for-1 on the top side. That is a gift to the gods from Infinity.
All right, we just cut it, right? We just cut it off right there.
Don't talk about
Morgan, look, you got the solo kill. That's what matters. Good job. Denies a bunch of that wave as well. So, again, Morgan full control on this bot side. Unfortunate. Just a bit of a late flash, but still, Hanwha winning top, winning bot. Chovy's got full push mid and the 14 CS lead. It's just up gold across the board for Hanwha.
Hanwha just slowly but surely, now 4,000 gold lead, pushing themselves forward. But I feel like Infinity are saying, look, we can force around this dragon. This is where we're going to be strongest. Get those big AoE team fights. And now knowing that there's no flash or ultimate onto Morgan, they've got a little bit of help with it.
It's gonna suck that Infinity don't have any mythics completed though. You just got Bugax 1 completed, but like no Eclipse coming through for White Lotus, Solid Snake not having his own Gore Drinker, whereas you look across at Hanwha, everyone's got their mythic finished, and that's why you try to move in here as Infinity, you're like, we just don't have the item spikes that we need right now to contest this.
Yeah, as well, you have Morgan just hovering towards that bot side before returning to top, so recognizing, look, I can hover, I can be around just in case. No one's going to be able to stop me, and just means there's a free dragon going over to Hanwha, so they get themselves a second Drake of the game. They still have themselves a 4,000 gold lead, and now we want to see what can the side of Hanwha do with these small advantages. As you said, the mythics finished up just gives them such a massive power spike that Infinity can't walk into them until they finish them. And
Infinity haven't done anything with the time that was dedicated to Hanwha towards the dragon, right? We don't have vision control going into topside. You can't really dive Morgan. He's a bloody Renekton. That's not going to go well. So instead, you get Hanwha get to have their play on the bot side. Now they've looked to reset. They're going to be here in time for the Rift Herald, and Infinity just aren't really getting their chance to play a turn in this game.
Losing out every single time. It's like Uno, skip a turn, skip a turn, skip a turn. You're not quite getting the reactionary play you want. Feels very unfun. As we see now, the rest of Infinity are in towards this mid lane. There is a Rift Herald just spawned, so that could be the next objective they look to go for. They have got the Eclipse and finally the Gore Drinker finished up for White Lotus and Solid Snake, respectfully. We are going to see the TP coming in towards that top side to try and keep that pressure, and Infinity move towards HLE.
Yeah, so they do manage to get the quicker reset, moving in mids and now getting control, but look at where Chovy is, right? They don't actually know where he is, so you can always just gift this Rift Herald across. You don't have to commit as Hanwha and always have Chovy try and take a bot lane turret, but it looks like they are going to move in and look to try and pressure onto this mid lane, which means Infinity once more have got to come back and fight mid.
Cody doesn't have a lot of mana either, down to about 25%, so the poke that's just not landing is being wasted and those resources are going away. As we can see now, Willer forced to safeguard away from the rest of his team. We will see the kick being actually mitigated there by the portal jump as they go in. Ackerman catches out Deft, but goes with him and therefore can't get anything else out of him. So everyone just backing away, almost finding engages. Infinity, I feel like they know they're on a timer. They're looking for something.
Yeah, Bugax still has push in topside, which is why they're maybe looking for Ackerman.
Oh, they're going to look for Ackerman in the mid lane, but there's the bullet time coming out to stop Chovy for going in for the Shifting Sands and the Emperor's Divide. A lot of things being burnt right now. Flashes, dashes, everything whatsoever. There's the ultimate. Has been tanked up by White Lotus and won't do the full damage. There's going to be the Crescent Guard coming out for Solid Snake as he's going to try and jump in, but now Drowsy going down onto Willer. Can they commit any more to this fight? I don't think they can, but here comes Bugax right off the side with a TP in the middle of it. Bugax versus the world. He's looking for Death, who will get over the wall. They flash in on the Death. Death will fall. That's going to be the first kill of this fight. Now Cody can jump in. It's the Amumu for the Ezreal right now. Willer so close to Death. Finally will fall down as Morgan finds himself a little bit all alone. Chovy tries to get him away, but he just cannot. And a strange turn of events. Infinity find the fight. They find the damage. And they find the kills.
It may not have been clean, but it was effective coming through from Infinity. They managed to pick off so many different members of Hanwha. You even got Bugax, who now able to get a couple of kills for himself. Will get this Rift Herald as well, and you can take over in these lanes.
It is a huge shift in momentum as we have a look at the Axe replay. This was so scrappy and everyone used everything.
Yeah, you see the Amumu's already looking to back. Ackerman's like, I don't want any more of this, but getting that much damage onto Willer, and look at Bugax here. Perfect positioning, manages to get a ton of damage on towards Deft, who's out of mana himself, so he's forced to flash away into the waiting hands of Solid Snake. It's Infinity perfectly setting up all the moving parts to entrap Hanwha, and yeah, I mean, Chovy's there, right, but
he wasn't able to get in.
Yeah, there was just nothing that he could do, so Infinity, phenomenal job to find the fight that they needed.
And they're able to take down Morgan as well when he's by himself, when he's just a lone crocodile. Look at the damage, Cody, my son. That was incredibly well played.
That's why we see a band against him, right? He is a phenomenal Zoe player, and we're seeing it in these team fights. But this is what we talked about for Infinity, right? Like, so many of their advantages come from early skirmishes. They're not about trying to, like, hey, let's move Cody topside to Bugax. Let's try and play with, like, Ackerman moving around the map. It's about fighting, and this is the fighting that Infinity have now found.
Well, Willer is hovering towards this bot side to make sure Cody and Solid Snake don't get anything too crazy in their ideas. Cody did pick up 2 kills in that last fight, finished up the Luden's Tempest. They are still behind in gold. Infinity are still playing catch-up, but it's the moments like this that maybe you're going to set up for success. The curse of the stab, bullet time, Deft almost go down. Ackerman not quite in there, though. Almost falls to the turret. There's going to be the ultimate coming in. Ackerman, oh, just about stays alive, and that's going to be enough to keep him going. Deft needs to arcane shift away as Cody picking up these cleanses, keeping himself irrelevant in these fights.
The thing is, though, Infinity, commit to bot side with the Rift Child. Don't get Terror. Commit to mid. Don't get the play. And Chovy's pushing in top side. He's poking out Bugax with the range discrepancy, and it'll actually be Hanwha who end up with a Terror when all is said and done. So despite the proactive plays from Infinity, it's Hanwha who are winning on map stays.
It's the execution. It's being able to convert those plays into those kills, into those turrets, into those objectives. Doesn't quite hit the mark here for Infinity, and they are committing quite a lot, and you can see the ideas are there, but like you said, the execution itself just needs to be tightened up just a tad.
And it's unfortunate, right? Because we kind of got hyped for Infinity. We saw that team fire. We thought maybe, just maybe they can. But Hanwha, again, taking the step back. They are so good at slowing down the pace of the game. Making sure that they're the ones that now can... Okay, Chovy's got top side. We're in position with Willard to stop any potential plays from Infinity. So you consistently have Hanwha in positions to trade up. And now, with the commitment to the top side with Bugax and with Ackerman, Willard's just free to take the Dragon for himself.
Yeah, takes himself the Dragon. This should be the turret going over, though, in favor of Infinity Esports. That will be a nice little bit of gold, so you're trading power now for power later. That's just generally how you want to go for this. And finally, we are seeing them look to trade up if they can, as we look to see maybe they can get a blue buff out of it as well. The Dragon taking a little bit longer, I imagine, than most anticipated, but Solosek just realizing there that the Chovy's not alone.
Yeah, this might be a bit greedy, though, because when you look at where like Bugax is right now, he kind of needs to reset, so you can have Cody gress onto this bottom lane. It means that if I'm Hanwha, I'm kind of looking at this mid lane going, hey, look, are we capable of making a play? Morgan rotating over. Not going to be looking for the dive, though, as Chovy is just going to collect that top wave, and Hanwha taking it a little bit slower, although I say that, Willer and Morgan moving into position.
They know exactly where everyone is. They're putting pings down. They're trying to see if they can get this one. Morgan looking for the flank. Cody off to the side. Does he know that everyone's there? I don't think he does. He's going to burst in and get bursted out. Actually lands the sleep onto the one person who could stun him up. Very lucky there. Infinity get away with just a little bit of a smack on the wrist.
Yeah, not going to be able to burn any summoner spells, and Infinity now get the recess that they need to hold on to this mid lane turret, but Hanwha are not letting up.
They are not, but Hanwha gotta respect. That is still a 2.5 item Zoe with the distance on the paddle star. You get so much. Ackerman goes in. He stops Chovy, and Chovy has been taken out. He gets his Emperor Divide out, but when you're locked in place, there's nothing you can do. Willer forced to flash away, and Hanwha Life are heading for the hills.
And they knew that Ackerman was there. He was spotted on wards coming in, but still, he manages to get the great setup and at least get one pick in favor of Hanwha, ease some of that pressure, and the gold lead that was ballooning Penguin is slowly starting to turn around.
It's whittling down. It was 4K, then one fight it was 3K. Now in an extra fight it's 2K. This is where the game starts to get a little bit shaky for Hanwha Life, and this is exactly what we talk about for them. They take things slow, but if you're too slow, you're just going to get caught out.
And this is exactly what we saw in Game 4 and Game 5 of the LLA Grand Finals. Infinity fall behind, but these team fights, these moments to make the picks happen was what drew them back from the brink. And now against Hanwha, Infinity are looking to repeat history and see if they can take down one of the play-in favorites.
And of course, we're always going to get excited for underdog stories. We're Irish. We are consistently underdog stories, but it is still in Hanwha Life's hands. They still have a gold lead, they still have the dragon lead, and they still have plenty of tools in them, but it is these executions, these missteps, these small little moments of getting caught out that you're kind of questioning, like, are they able to do it? Can they do it? They need to show us they can.
And this is why I want to see Hanwha take it slow. You don't need to force the pace. Let Azir scale. Let Def come into the picture as well. But as I say that, looks like they're trying once more, but Infinity collapsing.
Infinity are around. They will lose tier 1 in mid. So get a triple bubble landing on the Chovy. In any other situation, that would have been very detrimental to his health, but Chovy was surrounded by loved ones and was able to keep himself alive.
Is Hanwha doing a nice job of, like, again, pushing it sideways and then starting to rotate in, but this is the repeat hit, right? Ackerman, they see him, right? But they're just like, okay, well, we're totally fine. Chovy steps up that bit too far, and this is the power of this new Mumu, right? You get one lockdown, the CC comes through, and then you always have that second bandit toss if you need it as well. White Lotus doing so much damage over the back of it as well, and a really solid pick from Infinity.
You see the perfect flash there from Willer. If he does not flash that, he ends up getting caught out again. You can see Bugax getting a little bit of extra time now into this side lane, having a little bit of a better time now, has the Collector alongside the Immortal Shield Bow, so trading more effectively into these side lanes, and this Renekton is slowly starting to become a little less relevant as we get into these later team fights.
Yeah, the big thing that you want to try and play here is Hanwha is like, okay, let's get a little bit more scaling on Chovy. We can play these late game team fights where we've got a little bit of range and try and like stop Ackerman from getting in, because if Ackerman can set up for these big team fights, it's very hard for Hanwha to reset, especially if like someone like Chovy or Deft end up got caught up in that kind of CC chain that we're seeing coming through from Infinity.
A minute or just over it on for the next Drake to spawn. We'll put Hanwha live onto it. As we can see now, Solid Snake, a little bit of trouble there. Going to get himself the Blast Cone out, and Ackerman able to get him to safety. But with everyone committing to that try and get that pick, it means that tier 1 in mid definitely going to fall. Infinity trading up. This is looking like Hanwha, I won't say desperate just yet, but definitely looking a little bit more opportunistic when they didn't really need to.
Yeah, and you can make this like quick reset now as Infinity that you're seeing from Ackerman. Come back out, get mid push, collapse onto the bot lane with Bugax, get him control over the spot lane as well. So, I mean, for Infinity, you've got a very distinct game plan as to how you can play it, but you look at Hanwha also looking for these quick resets, seeing if they can come out and contest that mid wave and stop Infinity from trying to find pressure onto the bottom side of the map.
Now, I can see now with Hanwha Life, they have the Chovy mid lane up on the top side. He is very, very close to getting himself his Rabadon's death cap. There is a TP coming in, though. It's going to be Cody just covering up that mid lane, but they are waiting to see if they can just catch somebody out. There's an exhaust going down to Vista. Maybe they're looking for a little bit of a take. White Lotus takes a little bit of a hit, and the TP's going to be committed. That's going to be Chovy coming in. White Lotus has to get himself out. There's a Solar Flare. Vista is still very tanky. Vista is still very healthy. They land on the death as Solid Snake tries to take him down, but Cody is there, and Hanwha Life punish the overextension. They punish the mistake in Infinity. You got to get out. You got to try and survive. You cannot lose anymore, or they will take everything.
And that is a potential third dragon as well for Hanwha alongside this tower. Bugax trying to clear out the wave, which he will just manage to do, but you can just back away. Actually, they don't even, they're just willing to tank this.
Yeah, they're willing to tank it up. Might be a little bit risky now that the tower's at full power, but they'll back away, they get a dragon, and that was why Hanwha Life, you cannot just assume you're going to be able to take them down, because you're just investing so much onto such a tanky Leona. Didn't even have to use Flash.
Yeah, I mean, trying to pick off the Leona is never going to be a good shout, and I mean, Hanwha, rightfully so, punish. Big thing as well, Infinity not quite getting all their eggs in the one basket, we'll say, where a bit of a messy fight. So Hanwha get the picks, they get themselves back control of the map, and they will get themselves a third dragon. And now, especially when you're looking at a Rabadon's death cap will complete it soon for the Azir, that's going to be a major issue. But watch here, right? So we get the potential pick onto Vista, but I want to keep your eyes on White Lotus's ult here, because unfortunately he positioned so far back because of Deft, he actually doesn't get the best of bullet times. Deft doing a really good job of zoning out this misfortune, so bullet times hitting onto no one. Willer's able to come in, Morgan's able to come in. It's just not enough damage left from the kind of the big wombo we were talking about for Infinity.
Yeah, it's just a bit reaching there from Infinity. You didn't have to try and force that play. You didn't have to try and make it work for you. You had options, and even this Bugax into Morgan, he's winning the side lane, as we can now see an invest into this jungler to try to catch him out. Solid Snake is dead. That's just an easy, quick kill, and Hanwha Life starting to pick up the pace.
And I mean, Baron's on the cards as well now, right? 26 minutes into the game, you've got a 3-kick goal lead at Azir with a Rabadon's death cap. That will not stand for very long, as Bugax is still trying to deal with this bot lane turret.
You got to be a little bit careful, though. Willer will have to be the sole tank of this. As you can see now, Vista off to the side. They will have the True Shot Barrage land on the 3 people to help pepper them down. This Baron is not exactly quick. Deft and Vista are the ones keeping him away, and oh my lord, Deft! That is just so disgusting, being able to go that far aggressive, and no, he's going to be able to get the kill.
Yeah, I mean, Deft's feeling himself right now. Divine Thunder, the Muramana completed. He is going to be pumping out damage, and unfortunately, Cody wasn't really expecting it. Now, you get the pick, you get the Baron. Deft should be fine here.
He has the flash. There is a little bit of a slow. They're trying to jump on top of him, but there's the Immortal Shield Bow popped, and Deft says, cool, I know I have my team lift me. I know that Morgan's on the bot side, so I gotta move forward. And with this Baron power play from Red Bull, it's going to be absolutely huge for Hanwha to really solidify themselves forward.
Yeah, Big Brother Morgan was in the wings, so Deft feeling a little bit more confident there to Arcane shift forward. But honestly, you can see, right, Frozen Heart does so much in this style of composition, because Bugax can't really get through you. White Lotus, Solid Snake gonna have a really rough time as well, so you're pretty much free to play more aggressive. And unfortunately, Infinity, we started to get the ball rolling, but Hanwha have done an exceptional job of shutting that down, finding these picks and plays, and now they're firmly in control with that Red Bull Baron power play.
Exactly. You can never count these guys out. Of course, 4th seed from the LCK. The LCK, the most successful region at the World Championships. Never to be underestimated. Be it 1st or 4th, you have to give them respect. And Infinity, sadly, just overreaching. Maybe saw an opportunity that wasn't there and really getting hard punished right now, as we can see. Just pushing forward with the Red Bull Baron power play and getting themselves more and more of these standing turrets.
Yeah, Infinity trying to play off 3 waves here. Cody was up in that top side, so Homar are just like, cool, we have numbers advantage, but we can hard force this with the Baron, and now they're going to start sieging with double cannons here with the Baron buff.
Morgan going to move up towards that mid lane as well, just to try and buff them up, make sure they can keep the pressure on, spread Infinity Esports thin. Infinity are going to look for a pick. It's not really the one they wanted, so they're not going to fully commit to it. They're going to try and maybe get a little bit of poke, but nothing else. Bugax is pushing back Morgan, but that turret is falling, and then the 4v4, Infinity can't hold, and Bugax trying to go for the 1v1 against Rected, but you're against minions right now. He's going to get blocked, and he's not going to be able to do it at all. He's going to have to back himself away because the rest of Hanwha is up. It's coming up from his base.
But look at the health bars on Infinity. They're actually being cut off from their own base as Hanwha now get bot. They're going to get mid, and it's falling apart for Infinity.
It is, and Morgan's going to find Bugax. He's not going to be able to get himself back to base to try and defend, and now they're going to try and trade each other's lives. They won't be able to get it, but Hanwha Life, they smell blood. They know there's an incredibly low member of Infinity somewhere. They have got the True Shot Barrage, but they're not going to commit it. He will leave with his life with the bases in shambles.
I mean, Hanwha know what the next prize is, right? A minute and a half until the Dragon. They're going to reset, push in waves, just double down on the vision control that they've already established, that you can see Infinity trying to clear out now, and then either you fight Ocean Soul as Infinity, or you just end up losing it with double minion waves, and also Hanwha just being able to, or sorry, double super minion waves, and Hanwha being able to commit to the top side. The last nail in the coffin starting to fall slowly for Infinity here.
It's a little bit of a hard spot to be in to try and fight out of. You need to try and find depth. You need to try and find Chovy. They are your 2 only options for the next team fight. You need to blow them up, and then you have a chance. Then you're given an opportunity to maybe get some more time for your inhibitors. Maybe look to try and push out these side waves, but I don't think Hanwha's going to let you have it. They're just too good at these, these positions to close out.
And I mean, you've kind of lost the moment. Unless you can have Bugax massive ultimate alongside like Ackerman and White Lotus to like annihilate both Chovy and Deft, you're just kind of out of time.
Yeah, they're going to get tier 2 in the top side, so 5 members of Infinity, but you got Chovy and Morgan in the top side. You got the rest of Hanwha hovering in the red side jungle, so you know you are safe to go for this. Deft will get drowsy. Morgan's a little bit isolated away from his team, and they'll try and commit onto it. This should be the last fight coming in, so we do get the stuns down. It's double cleanse used as Deft gets himself out. He had himself a QSS, and he had himself a cleanse, so he keeps himself alive. The base is well and truly drawn, hung and quartered as they now look to try and find the last fight. Infinity throwing everything at the wall. They just got this completely separated. They just can't finish off the health bars. They're just so close, but yet so far. White Lotus trying his very best, but it is in fact Bugax who gets himself a double kill, but Deft knows the rest of the team are low. He knows they're going for it. There's the stun, there's the kills. Is it a triple? It's not quite able to happen. Deft keeps himself alive. And while all this is happening, Chovy's ended the game.
Chovy's just chilling. He's like, yeah, guys, just keep him busy. I've got this. Gotta finish off this. I mean, Bugax finally will fall to Morgan's hands, as the base will do likewise to Chovy.
It was a valiant last effort from Infinity, but Hanwha Life will get themselves onto the win sheet. They will find themselves a win against the LLA #1 team, as there's the ace coming in. Sniped off to the side. Chovy ends the game. Hanwha Life on the board.
And a confident win coming through from Hanwha Life. What a strong performance coming through in those early stages. We got to see some, picks coming back from Infinity, but certainly you can see Hanwha put their foot down like, we're having none of this. Straight back to basics, lads. Let's close this one.
Yeah, and again, I think Infinity can take a lot of pride in that performance. They definitely showed off the power and the potency of that, Curse of the Sad Bullet Time, having those big AoEs, but it just wasn't enough. They fell too far behind. They weren't able to keeping tempo almost with Hanwha, and then once they actually went for that last fight, they still got 2 kills, which was great, but you're too far behind.
Yeah, I think the big one here was just how well Hanwha were able to play the map, right? They just showed that, hey, look, Infinity, they've overcommitted on one side of the map, we'll go and take others elsewhere. Even when you got moments where maybe you had that overcommitment coming through from Hanwha, Infinity just didn't know what to do at that time. So certainly Hanwha showing that, honestly, they're just a better team when it comes towards maps, and then also having that late game scaling was just kind of the cherry on top.
Yeah, it was the pretty much the cherry on top, like you say, the insurance, if you will, to say, look, we have an Ezreal, we have an Azir, we know that if this goes to 30, 35 minutes, we are just going to be stronger unless you can get that kind of setup for you. But again and again, we do